Welcome to the Artemis Yannakis podcast. I'm here today with my good friend Laura Sorella. Today she's going to tell us a great story about infidelity. Hi Laura, I'm happy to have you here today.
Hi, Art. It's great to be here.
So let's begin the great story of infidelity that you know.
Okay, well, yes, I seem to amass a lot of friends who have suffered infidelity. This was actually a very good friend of mine. I've known her since I was very young. Her name is Sabrina, and it's actually a sad story and a happy story at the same time. So, she met her husband. They were both. It was both their second marriage, and they just seemed like the perfect couple. Very much in love, very compatible. Um, you know, in step, they had the same goals. And I was really happy for her because her first marriage was not a great story. And so when she met him, she figured she had met her Prince Charming, and he really swept her off her feet. He was so doting on her. He was so kind. He was totally in love with her, and dedicated to her. And so, they just seemed like the perfect couple. And they built a great future together. Became very successful. They had two kids, a nice home. Basically, they were living the dream. Uh, got Made a lot of money. Got an even bigger home, the fancy cars, and you really just looked at them and said, "Wow, they really made it. They're living the life. They always seemed happy." And this is about 18 years in. I think you figure they had reached the pinnacle of everything that they could reach, and um, I think some cracks started surfacing, and she noticed he started changing. He started going to the gym, and uh, you know became very fixated on his appearance, and same with her. He always wanted her to look good, and she noticed that he was spending less and less time at home, which was really out of character for him because he wouldn't ever want to do anything without her before. He didn't want her to work. He just always wanted to be with her. And now all of a sudden, he's spending less and less time at home. And she started to become very withdrawn. And so I remember reaching out to her, and she told me, I think he's having an affair. And I go, well, no, it can't. Anthony would never do that to you. He's so devoted to you. But she was like, no, he's never home. When he is home, he's he's become crabby towards me. He's become he's just, his whole personality had changed. And so she decided to she went with her gut, and she hired a private eye. And I remember being there when she got the pictures, and lo and behold, he was having an affair. And you know, I mean, shocked was not the word. I mean, I've met a lot of couples who have fallen into that trap, but you just always, there's always certain people that you just think, well, no, that'll never happen to them, and so obviously never say never. Um, so she found out. She wasn't sure how she was going to confront him, um, because like I said, he had started to change. He wasn't the happy-go-lucky guy anymore. He'd become a little more aggressive towards her. Um, so she came home after being out all for most of the day and most of the night. she confronted him, and of course he got very angry, and um, he first he was trying to deny it, and but she had the pictures, and so then he was more irate about that she had hired a private eye to follow him. It's like, how dare you? Uh, but you can't actually, the pictures are. At first, he tried to say that it wasn't him, which is a joke because obviously it was him.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he still tried to do the denial thing, even confronted with the pictures and the evidence. And then, he went into the song and dance. I don't know, it was a one-time thing. It'll never happen again. And so she really wanted to believe him. So they said they were going to work on the marriage. And lo and behold, I think he tried to placate her for a little bit, but she saw he was still disappearing. He was still being shady, and so she called the PI again, and again she had him followed, and again the PI followed him and took pictures of him entering his mistress's house, and again, when she came home, she confronted him, and again, but instead of being apologetic now, he was starting to get very aggressive. It's funny how they do that. It's like they gaslight you. It's like they're not taking ownership of what they're doing. They're just, it's like, how dare you have me followed? Like, you're not respecting my privacy. So, things got actually a little ugly. This really gentle giant all of a sudden became very aggressive. He, he grabbed her. He hit her. He threw something at her that hit her in the head. But she still wasn't ready to give up on her marriage. She still loved him very much. Despite this major change in character. So she was hanging in. He kept saying he was going to end it, and she was hopeful, but there was no way. He wasn't ending it. He just wasn't stopping. He was all in. And at the same time, he wasn't even, he was such a good dad before. His kids were annoying him. Like, he wanted the picture of the perfect family, but at the same time, he wanted to go out and be, a young, 25-year-old again. He didn't want to be a middle-aged man. With the wife and the mortgage and the kids. I mean, he wanted the picture, but he also wanted the fantasy. I remember she was telling me that when he was there one night, she called and the mistress picked up the phone, and the mistress started going off on her, calling her a gold digger, and I mean, she was saying the most horrible things to her. And I think of course she was upset about the affair, and that the mistress is confronting her on her husband's phone. But I think what bothered her the most is that she was saying the most vile things to her, and her husband just stood there and didn't defend her. Like, she was like, God, she goes, I don't even know this guy anymore. Like, how could you let this woman speak to me that way? I'm still the mother of your children. And I think that was a turning point for her. She kind of gave him an ultimatum, and he again lied and said he was going to end things, and he didn't. So he moved out. She threw him out. He was still, towing the line. He was still trying to have both. He was still like typical guy, wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He didn't, but he did get his own place, and so he had more freedom to come and go as he pleased. And she was actually still hopeful that her marriage could be saved. She still loved him, and she still was hoping that he would, come to his senses and realize what he was giving up. But then at the same time, she also noticed that he wasn't the same guy she had, met 18 years prior. He had kind of morphed into a different, it's like he took on another persona. And so I remember he went away for a weekend with his mistress, and he lied to her. I don't know what he said. He said he was sick with COVID or something. It was during the COVID days. And again, she had him followed. And he had warned her, he goes, you better not hire a PI and better not have me followed. But of course, she that went out with the bathwater. So of course she sent the PI because she just wanted evidence. So she goes, if we go to court, she goes, she needed, and I think she also needed that extra push, something to tell her that, you know what, I fought, I tried, and he's not ending this, he's not changing. And I think she needed I think she was hurt at the same time, but I think the evidence, she needed that push to make a decision. And so she told him she wanted a divorce. And he was livid. He actually he went bonkers, like, how dare you ask me for a divorce, and they're also from they're with the entourage. He was hanging out with people now that all his new friends, they all had wives and they all had mistresses. The wives know, and they're okay with it. They're living the good life, and that's just part of that's just the way it's gonna be. And that's pretty much what he told her, that, you know what, we're not getting divorced. This is just the way it's gonna be. I'm gonna have my wife, I'm gonna have my kids, and I'm gonna have my mistress on the side, and you're just gonna accept it. And but she's not just like the other wives of his friends. She's got a character. She said, no, this is not what I signed up for. You're not the guy I fell in love with, and I'm not gonna just sit back and live this life and turn a blind eye and just keep this farce going. So she got a lawyer, and she filed for a separation, a divorce, and he went completely ballistic. He got violent. He tried to choke her. The neighbors had to get involved. The police had to get involved. And it just goes to show, like, this guy, this gentle guy, great guy, loving guy, family guy, how someone can change, like their whole personality could change. Or was this always in him, and like he was all for 18 years he was like, was that the mask,
It's like the mask that people wear. Like, you just ask yourself, like, how does this man that you fell in love with become the aggressor?
Yeah.
That's a big question. Like, how does something like from love, marriage, loving each other, having a family together, and then this man turns violent. He becomes the aggressor. That's kind of flipping on the other side, especially when your husband that you've loved and he's loved you becomes so aggressive while he's actually in the wrong.
Yeah, but it's also, there's a lot of relationships where there's abuse or violence. There's usually signs early on. Like, it's nothing is in a vacuum. Like, there's always some indication like jealousy or whatever. So like whatever it was that was simmering under the surface, it really stayed hidden for a really long time, and then like it just erupted all of a sudden. So it's that I think that's the scary part. It's like he looks like the same guy. It's like what like an alien just took over him. It's the shell is him, but like the person behind those eyes is just he's like a different personality.
It says something about the male that he can just switch like that and
Yeah.
become like there's something that was brewing all those years of like his
Yeah, but this
personality,
it's
his
more than a
character.
midlife
It's
crisis.
more than a midlife
Yeah,
crisis, I would think.
it's a whole midlife persona, like
It's something that was there, probably that was there inside him, something that's happened to him before in his life, something that maybe when he was younger,
yeah.
that this switch went off and he's like, no, this is the type of person I want to be. This is the type of man I'm going to be. I'm going to have the whole power. I'm going to control everything around me. I
Well,
am
speaking of power, I mean that I think that was the clincher is that uh, the more money he made, the more powerful he felt, and I think it's funny they say that money changes people, and I think that's actually wrong. I think money just allows people to be who they really are, and he's a perfect example of that. Like when he didn't have money, or when they were building their fortune, and when they were working for it, he was one way, and as soon as he got all this money, and then he started hanging out with different people, and getting fancier cars and bigger houses, and it's just funny. It's like money really shows who you really are.
and it has something to do also with masculinity, the way they think that wealth and money is really going to give them this power to do what
Right.
and like you said, he probably was always like that, but it just became even worse
Yeah, it
when
was just really, really hidden. It was really, really hidden, but obviously this was something that was inside him all along, and it just took, it makes you wonder. It's like, I wonder if he hadn't become successful, if he hadn't amassed all this wealth, would they still be happy?
I
That
yeah,
that's the thing. Like
yeah.
if their life hadn't like you should say, wow, they really made it. They're living large, and yet like look what happened. Like when they were starting off, they were so in love. They were connected. They were together. They were striving. They were building, and then like they amassed all this wealth, and everything just kind of blew up. It's like they just put a bomb and the whole thing blew up. The house of cards just fell.
How are the children adapting to all this? Because I know they have two children.
They have two. They have two kids. They were late teens, and they had a really hard time because he went from being this doting dad who did everything with his kids, and to like barely seeing his kids anymore. They just he just even his kids, like it's not just like you abandoned your wife, you abandon your family.
It has a lot. I think it has a lot to do with his ego.
Yeah.
He's so empowered. He's so empowered that
But
what
is it
it's
really, or
become.
is it
Yeah,
really insecurity?
I think it's insecurity. You're right. I think it's
No.
insecurity, and I think it's also such a big part of his insecurity that he's holding on to this power to give him some type of stability or to give him some type of power because he has this whole insecurity that I think he's masking.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And how is she dealing with everything right now?
It's been difficult. I mean, but it took her a while. She had a really really hard time. Like I said, it wasn't just nasty. It had gotten aggressive. It got really ugly. It was just something, and the way it was escalating. I think she even had to get a restraining order against them. It got to that level, and of course, you're worried because people could snap, and the next thing you know, you're like on an episode of Dateline, and things do happen. You know,
It's just very scary that he can like switch
it
to
was a
be,
control. It had become a control
yeah, a
thing.
control, and
Like
how
he could no longer control her. You know, he
it
had
could,
lost control, and she actually took the steps to divorce him, and of course, then after, she wants half of everything, and so that set him off even more, and and I'm sure like the other one was in his ear, saying, so it was just it was something that I mean it was actually something that they could actually have made a movie on. It had gotten to that point.
it shows how a marriage is so, sometimes if there's this fault line in the
Yeah, it's
marriage, just
volatile. Yeah.
it's so volatile, and you have this person come into the life right when there's this crack
Yeah.
in the marriage, and they take it like this other woman, and she sees all the insecurities and the fault lines, and she's like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it right from her, and it's going to be mine.
Yeah, well, she was looking at dollar signs. I mean, she was like, uh, I think she fell in love with that image. She wanted the good life and the fancy cars and the nice clothes and the designer purses and the nice restaurants. She just wanted the lifestyle. I mean, I don't think she's like madly in love with him. She's madly in love with the money.
It has a lot, yeah, definitely in love with the money, and it says a lot about how these exterior forces
Yeah.
can really pull, like really test a marriage. All these
Oh yeah,
exterior,
I mean, like someone who cheats with you will cheat on you. It's just a matter
definitely,
of time.
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I
She's
mean,
just like probably somebody that was there at the right time
yeah,
until he kind of settles into it, and then it's like it's not interesting for him anymore.
right.
He probably sounds like, probably is somebody who's just always chasing what's the next best thing,
Yeah, fantasy.
a fantasy, just always chasing the fantasy, and then once they have the fantasy, they're like not too sure if they want it anymore or if this is what they really wanted. And maybe he has regrets. I don't know if he has regrets, but probably doesn't have regrets. What do you think?
Um, I think on some, like I said, he's really his whole personality has changed. Um, you would think in periods of normalcy, does he have regrets? Yeah, I'm sure he does. Um, will he admit it? I don't know. I think there's an ego thing in play. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure when everything settles, he's gonna see what he lost basically. Like you know, giving up like you're giving up a package. You're giving up a whole package for this one person. This one person is just one person, but what you're leaving behind is a package. It's you've got a family, you've got kids, there's extended family. Like he gave up a lot, and I think the day he really realizes it, I think then it'll hit him.
Yeah, maybe do you think they have a chance of getting back together?
I think initially, I think she really hoped. I think she really hung in there. I think she really, if he would have stopped, because she really loved him. It was her second marriage too, and like he was the love of her life. Um, I think, but as at one point, I think she figured like too much damage had been done, and she didn't just even recognize this guy anymore. So not the guy I fell in love with.
Yeah, I see that. I think she has a lot, how is she feeling on a day-to-day basis? Has she moved on a little bit?
She's fortunate that she has a great support. She's got family that love her. She's got good friends. She's traveling. She's trying to enjoy. I think she's still mourning the loss of her of the picture. I think she's mourning the loss of the picture, what they were, what they could have been. That takes a while to get over, but she's getting there. She's getting there.
Yeah, it's not easy to to put
Start over.
to start over and to get over something like this, especially because she probably still loves him.
Yeah.
I'm sure yeah, I would think. And I'm sure he loves her too.
I think so too.
It's
think
just,
so. I
yeah.
think, but right now there's just all this, there's all this destruction.
Yeah, destruction.
Yeah,
It's sad.
it is.
It's really, really sad because when you start to do the whole equation of the whole thing, you have much more to lose than to gain because a lot of times it's not really greener on the other side.
No, if the grass is greener on the other side, it's only because it's full of manure. It's not because
I like that.
it's not,
That's
the
true.
grass would be just as good on your side if you tended to it.
That's true. That's true.
Water it once in a while.
I think it shows a lot how a marriage is constant work and just constant work. But even though if it's constant work and you're actually like giving your spouse a lot of love and attention,
I think that was the shocking thing because she looked great. I think she's a size 2. She never eats carbs. I don't think she's eaten carbs in 10 years. She took care of him. They had an amazing sex life. So I think from that aspect, I think she really thought she was safe. And
Yeah.
I think that was the scary part is that, she in her head, like she goes, but I thought I did everything right, and she goes, and yet, it's still,
yeah,
it
there's
still blew up.
no guarantees.
There's no guarantees.
No guarantees in life
No.
because I find life just there's all these
And
surprises.
just to say, the other woman is not prettier, she's not thinner, she's not smarter, she's not anything better. They cheat down.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it's just the whole thing, I guess, like for this man to conquer and just like have anything, have like the trophy.
I think the other one was easier. She was,
Yeah.
she was easier. There was
Yeah.
no
Hard work. No hard
like
work.
I said, it's the fantasy.
It's the fantasy, and I think she was giving him that fantasy, and because she wanted something else from him,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, she was agreeable to everything.
yes, she
Exactly.
completely
They're not-
deceived them.
Exactly. They're not paying bills together. They're not raising kids together. They're not dealing with the day-to-day struggles that most couples deal with.
It's incredible to think of all these kind of like masks that like these women wear. They'll wear a different mask just
Yeah.
to allure them in and just to get what they want from this affair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sad.
It is. It is. But on the bright note, I know she's gonna be good.
Yeah, you know what? I think that everything, something that bad happens
Yeah.
and a door closes, there's
Another
always
one opens.
another one opens. And I think God knows what's good for us, and it's something for her to learn from this and something for him to learn from this, that's for sure. And I think it'll open up new opportunities for her.
Right. I think so too.
So thank you for being with us today, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
It was a great story.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.